Matt Robeson, Beyond Politics. And today, guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. Yes, it's our own Slim Shady, our Republican political consultant and egg enthusiast, Alicia Preston. She returns to our regular panel, and like all thoughtful friends, she's brought gifts. In this case, a new poll suggesting that even Republicans are quickly souring on the Elon Musk show, and he may be about to drag Donald Trump down with him. That would, of course, be welcome news, because we also got into the less than effective communications that Democrats have been mounting in opposition to Trump over the past 2 weeks, and the truly awful, obscenely immoral thing that Trump and Musk just did that, honestly, I think any Republicans in elected office with a conscience are going to spend the rest of their lives in shame about. And finally, you'll want to hang on till the end when Alicia reveals the ultimate Trump scam that she received live on air in the middle of our show. With that, here's me, Paul, and Alicia. Welcome back, the prodigal daughter, Alicia Preston, back from the deep freeze. It's like you were in long-term storage on the show Severance, and you've been woken up. You've been and we're thrilled to have you back. And you have come in hot with a new poll that you want to talk about. I like polling. Polling's interesting, and this one's about Elon Musk. What are you seeing?
What's interesting is several months ago, before Elon Musk got his little gritty fingers into the federal government, a lot of Republicans wanted him to have a good amount of say, nearly 50%. And now that he's gotten his little gritty fingers under the government, that number has plummeted. This is just Republicans to 26%. 26% of Republicans. And if 26% of Republicans want him there, that is what, 82% of the country does not? Probably higher. I mean, I think it's telling. Donald Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. I don't think people believed him. And now that he's doing it, they're going, oh, that's not what we wanted.
They figured they had 100 days. He actually had the first 100 minutes planned. He figured in the first 100 minutes, it's going to be shock and awe. It's all over. And that's what he's done. You got to hand it to him. You got to hand it to him and all his people. Those peeps had Project 2025 lined up to happen faster than anybody could think about. And Elon Musk was right there whispering over his shoulder, licking his ear and telling him, oh, I'm going to make you famous, Donald Trump.
This just got so gross.
I'm going to do all the cutting that you ever wanted. Yeah, right. So
is that like the slightly nicer Mike Tyson thing? Like, oof, my gosh. Let me ask this. Is this sort of a harbinger of a broader theme? Because Alicia, it sounds like that's what you're suggesting is people thought they were voting for one thing. I think we could rattle it off here, right? It's get control of the border, lower my prices, and the woke stuff is too much. So it's really three things, but whatever. Is that a pretty good summary of what the people who voted for Trump thought they were voting for?
Yes, absolutely. And they also thought they thought the government was getting too much in their business. And wow, is this Republican government getting too much in people's business, right? And expansion of presidential, that was something people had complained about way on the list, way down on the list, but on the list nonetheless. And he's focused, sure, he focused on the border, but he's not using any precision, right? I mean, people did vote to secure that border. Absolutely. People did vote for mass deportation. But people didn't vote to round up a grandmother, daughter, and grandchild in Milwaukee and get them to a detention center before believing them that they're American citizens. People didn't vote for a military veteran who's Puerto Rican working at a fish market in New Jersey to get detained by ICE. People didn't vote for, up to 18 Native Americans between Arizona and New Mexico to be swaddled up as though they're illegal immigrants. People didn't vote for this. They voted for a level of precision that is not being executed.
The Native Americans, they were here first. I just point out, so they are the opposite of immigrants.
I have a question. I think it's reasonable following up on what Alicia said. Alicia, how could anybody reasonably expect precision when it comes to Donald Trump? I mean, did he promise precision? No. Did he lie? Of course. Are you saying that they believed his lies? Oh, I don't know anything about Project 2025. I never heard of it.
25 never said let's round up Native Americans and American citizens. I think we can all, whether we like Project 2025 or not, I think we can all agree that was not in there.
Yeah, they wouldn't say that out loud because
Yeah,
That would be
that's
just downright nutty.
yeah.
I'm going to quote a friend of the show, a Republican who gives notes regularly to the show. And this person's observation, based on canvassing a bunch of Trump voters in their immediate friend and family group, was no one doesn't get this, right? Like, don't use no double negatives, people. All the people who are voting for Trump, they know, they get it. They know the shtick. They don't believe most of it. They're voting for the underlying premise, right? They're willing to kind of let go of this. And for the portion that were on the fence, we talked about this, and I wrote about this in Newsweek. There was a willing suspension of disbelief. We're just not going to remember the chaos of the first Trump term. It has been blotted out by recent events and the fact that we're unhappy about prices, and we're hearing a lot about the border, and that's making us unhappy. And don't compare to the almighty, compare to the alternative. We don't like the alternative. Kamala Harris didn't give a compelling reason to vote for her. I'm sorry. I like her. I think her ads were, as Barack would say, pretty good. I think that there was never a compelling reason besides a comparison to repeating over and over again, yeah, Trump is bad, and we are going to offer a way forward, positivity, hope, upbeat. And that's good, but it doesn't help with my costs, and it doesn't deal with a border. And I think you're too woke. That's what most people were saying. So I don't think that people were snowed. I think that they lobotomized themselves and they were willing to go for it.
Okay. So then they got exactly what they voted for. It's just happening a little faster
But
than
that's
they
Alicia's
thought.
point. I don't think they got what they voted for because they never voted for this. And so here's my next question. Is this a sign, this poll, that Republicans are already, the honeymoon is over with DOGE? Is this a sign that the boomerang is starting to bend? And I mean, this is something that, again, I wrote about a few weeks ago. What I said is, this is the classic trap that kills presidencies. You come into office, you squint when you look in the mirror and you think you see a mandate. And you start to overreach and do all kinds of things that were never on the docket. This was never what the customer ordered. And you do all kinds of other stuff, and the customer starts to say, no, I want to send this back. This is not what was on the menu. I mean, so Alicia, do you think this is a canary in the coal mine for Trump?
I do. And let's not forget this mandate business. Did he win? Yes, he absolutely won. He got less than 50% of the vote. I don't know why everyone keeps calling this a mandate. By that definition, every single person who's ever won an elected office has a mandate. And we know that's just not true. I think he's gone too far. As for DOGE, look, I can tell you what even some of my Trump supporting friends think that DOGE was going to do and was kind of for it is look at the budget, look at the expenditures from the United States, see what they are, and advise on what can and should be removed. No one wanted or expected him to have some weird deputized authority to physically go into agencies with private information and access information on Americans, on businesses, and make sweeping decisions all on his own. That was never told to the American people. It was never expected by the American people. And I don't blame them for not taking that into consideration. It's never been done before, and it shouldn't be being done now.
I'll tell you a fun party trick that, Paul, you're so familiar with from being a member of Congress. Let's say you're doing a poll or you're communicating. If you want to see people react negatively to the idea of government spending, talk about government spending in the abstract. If you want people to defend government spending, talk about it in the specific and tie it to exact programs that people benefit from. Case in point, people are against government spending. But you know, Paul, the key to overcoming that is just to say, do you want to keep Social Security benefits? Yeah, people are wild about that. Do you like Medicare? Are you in favor of that? Oh, yeah, no, we like the Medicare program. That's good. Veterans benefits. Are you in favor of that? Yep, or no, we like that. Defense, you're in favor of, oh yeah, strong defense. And you go down the line and there's lots of programs that people individually like in the specific. Same thing with members of Congress. People hate Congress. They tend to like their individual member of Congress. So maybe that's what's catching up with.
So what did dumbass think about Elon Musk was about who he was and what he was going to do. He didn't spend $500 billion just to sit around, just to analyze things. Of course not. Elon Musk was always going to do what Elon Musk does. He goes in, he tears things apart. Look, they're following the playbook that some techno journalist, Calvin Yarwin, some guy, he's in 2022 said, here's how you do it. You got to go in, you've got to take everything apart, break it down, break the government, and then you can rebuild it in your dictatorial image. And what we'll do is we'll set it up so that there's like a CEO of this organization, and the CEO is going to do it because that gives deniability to the chief jerk over there. He doesn't have to do anything. His CEO is doing it. So Trump could say, I don't know what he's doing. Musk goes in. He's got his 20-year-old crew who are now invading every aspect of American life. Every agency they're taking over every agency and its data. This is the way Musk operates. Anybody who looked at it would say, what is he going to get for his $500 million sitting around? Those pictures of Musk before the election, gleefully carrying his children around the halls of the Capitol, should have been fair warning to the dumbass people who voted for Trump. Now, Alicia will object to my calling them dumbass. I could also call them deplorables. I could call them all kinds of things. But what did they expect? And now the Republicans have decided, oh, wait, this is not what we voted for.
Hey, there's good news because there's actually another opportunity to run back the 2024 election. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, and we can actually oh, no. We can't.
Just for the record,
Got to do
the
this for 2
level
years.
of Democrat condescension on American people is one of the reasons y'all lost this year. It's one of the reasons you don't have the White House and Congress.
I agree with you. You know what? Perfect segue. Perfect segue to our next topic. I will say on the way out of our previous topic that you see, this was my entire point about the specific. Steve Bannon who is actually in a feud with Elon Musk, and it's delightful. They're calling each other names and impugning each other's mothers. It's delightful.
Condescension.
But this is the Steve Bannon playbook, right? It's flood the zone. I mean, they've called their shot on this. It's flood the zone, overwhelm our senses, own the libs, make us feel dejected and like it's all too much and we don't want to engage with it. The problem with it is that they have this supposition that everyone in America is with them on all this stuff. And the government, the deep state, it's bad. And Alicia, your core point is so spot on. That is not what people were saying when they voted for Donald Trump. They were saying, I want my prices to go down. I want the border more secure. And I don't like all the woke stuff. That's all they were saying. They weren't buying into the rest of the crap about the deep state and the government. Because dirty little secret, people like a lot of the specific things they get out of the federal government. They rely on these things. And so when you do a 48-hour own the libs media stunt of, we're going to freeze the federal government, and it sows confusion and dismay and fear, and people are like, wait, am I not going to get my Social Security money? Then those people start to say, I don't like that. I'm against that. When you start to come in with your Musk DOGE team of 25-year-old engineer tech bros and start mucking around with people's veterans payments, they start to hear about that in the media and they're like, no, wait, not cool. I did not sign up for this. But I want to go to your other point, Alicia. I want to go to your other point.
No, wait, before you do, Alicia, I don't, you talk about condescension. I think that's really full of it. For the American electorate to ignore J6, for the American electorate to ignore Project 2025, for the American electorate to put Trump back in office, and for me to call it out as deplorable and dumbass doesn't mean I'm condescending to anybody. I'm speaking truth to what is ultimate power. It's a coup. He wants to be a dictator, and that's just the facts. And for you to complain, the Democrats are so condescending. I'm not condescending. I'm saying that it's dumbass for people to vote for a guy like Donald Trump.
But here's the problem.
I'm pretty sure the mockery just displayed would be in the pool of condescension, but I don't care. But I'm
Well,
also right.
can I chime in? Can I chime in? I, Paul, I hear you. I hear you. You remember when Hillary spoke truth to power and
Yeah. He
said,
called them
there's a
deplorable.
basket of deplorables?
Oh, yeah.
It turns out that telling people, hey, dumbasses, listen, you are so ignorant, you are so blind that we are here to help fix you because of your incipient racism, your bigotry, your dumbassery. And we want you to know that we have arrived to make you better. You're welcome. Turns out that message does not work. And the best line I ever wrote was, you can't beat deplorables by being insufferables. And so,
Fine.
Alicia,
Fine. I get it. I
right?
get it. I
Right?
get it. Sure.
Okay.
So, and while we're arguing about condescension, Elon Musk's DOGE team is feeding sensitive federal data into AI via the Microsoft cloud.
Sure, it's
Target
bad.
spending cuts.
I agree with you. But the point is, if we wanted to forestall that, all we need to do is go into a time machine and step back 5 years ago and whisper to all the candidates on the stage for the Democratic primary debate. When the moderator asks you who's in favor of decriminalizing border crossings, don't raise your hands, all of you. Don't raise your hands. And we could have then whispered into, I don't know, Ron Klain's ear, like, hey, when the president asks you, should I really liberalize the border? Just say, no, just take the win. Like, Trump went too far, but as long as we're not putting people in cages and separating children and being unnecessarily cruel, keep the strenuous border controls. Keep it up, because that's actually what voters want. And we maybe could have thought a little bit. Now, look, I continue to say that just on the basis of economic fact, it is not entirely Biden's fault, far from entirely, that prices went up. But he could have dialed back a little bit on the subsequent spending packages, which did add inflationary pressure. And he could have said, look, we're in a war on prices. We could have done that. And most to your point, Paul, we could have had someone speak truth to power, like our friend Seth Moulton several years ago, to say, hey, wokers, dial it back. Just dial it back. Because we get what you're saying with critical race theory and defund the police and DEI. We get it. But you know what? The rest of the public does not. They feel condescended to. We need to talk about this differently.
Sure. I get it. The fact is that Democratic messaging and campaigning was not great, and that's why we're dealing with what we're dealing with Trump. I get that. And after all, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is responsible for all that's bad in America. So that's what we've got.
Oh, Alicia, do you want to come in and say, go ahead, Paul, keep dying on this hill, or shall I?
He can just keep dying on the hill. I want to use your time machine, Matt. I want to use your time machine, Matt, that you just used. But I'm only going to go back a year and a half, okay? And we're going to take that time machine back a year and a half for those, particularly Democrats, who don't like what's happening in government today. And note that if y'all hadn't hid the cognitive decline of Joe Biden, if y'all had convinced him not to do a second term.
Don't blame me for that, sister.
Had an open primary, so someone could actually go through the process and someone qualified, get the nomination, and have the American people know who that candidate was. Guess what? I all but guaranteed that person, whomever he or she was, would be in the White House right now.
All right. Follow-up question. You got to call on me. Say,
yes, Mr. Robeson.
Old looking dude in the back. Yes, thank you. Dr. Preston, since we don't have a time machine, what should the Democrats be doing now? Because
more than they're doing.
It seems like their strategy is to call a hastily assembled press conference of members of Congress who are not great communicators and fly off the handle at everything, and do that every day, and do it unstrategically at every little thing that Trump does with no focus whatsoever. Is that a good strategy, or should maybe we do something else?
I think there should be something else done. And I think we go back to the word precision, right? I think they should go to the courts. Don't outsource it to third, fourth party individuals. I think not on every little thing. I think on things that are within the power of Congress that the administration has simply taken away from them. They should take action. And if that means trying to bring a bill to the floor that addresses it, let some Republicans get up there and abdicate their jobs and let the American public see that they're abdicating their duties to the fearless leader. They have to do more with precision. And a stupid press conference outside a building, it was chaos, it was silly, there was no united message. Pick on something and stick to it.
Paul, go ahead. Ear whisper. What? No, lick the ears of our fellow Democrats with your wisdom.
Democrats could introduce the Elon Musk Act, which is an acronym for, I don't know, eliminate the da ba 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 something. They actually made it, introduced an act to make, I don't know, I can't even remember the act.
Eliminate the lunacy of our nation.
Yeah,
Elon.
eliminate the lunacy of Elon Musk. So anyway,
No, it's got to be of our nation. Did you
I
see
know,
what she did there?
I got it. They got all that. So that'll go nowhere. They can gin up people to sue in the courts, controlled mostly by Republicans, those courts. So we'll see where that goes.
Can I just quickly interject a hand that Republicans just yesterday blocked Musk from congressional subpoena?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Good luck
Good
with
news.
that.
Good news with oversight. So then
Thanks, congressional
we
Republicans.
can call out tens of people to protest in the cold. Those tens of people can hold hand-lettered signs.
Yes, that's a great idea.
That's going to be really important. So I don't know. Maybe we could, as Democrats, just look ahead for a year plus to the midterm elections, catalog all the excesses that we're seeing without condescension, but just catalog the excesses. Maybe the message is this really what you wanted, people? If it's not, give us back Congress so that we can put a check on the excesses. We agree with you on all those things because we're really now become dino rhinos, and we think we were too yoke and woke, and we
Too yoke was the problem with the prices of eggs.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. The protests may grow. It would take some pretty massive protests, and then Trump is just going to call out the military, and that's going to make Republicans happy.
Oh, protests play into Musk and Trump's hands. They would love. Oh, great. Yes, your tears are so delicious to me. I think my version of it, with my ears still damp, is I think we should be, as Alicia suggested, maybe a little bit more targeted, maybe a little bit more strategic. The things that are in our ultimate long-term interest, like, let them go. All the anti-DEI stuff, let it go. We don't want to fight this battle. We don't want to die on this hill. No one agrees with you, wokers. It's not a battle worth fighting. What we should fight is things that raise prices. What we should fight is, are you afraid of losing access to your Social Security benefits, to your veterans benefits, to the programs that you rely on that you actually like? We've run this playbook before. This is something that, Paul, you're very familiar with. I am very familiar with. This was smack dab in the middle of my time as a congressional staffer. The last time we saw similar overreach like this was George W. Bush. He won in 2004 with almost exactly the same margins, both in the Electoral College and in the popular vote, and margins in the Senate, and margins in the House, and results in the states. It was almost a mirror image of what we saw in 2024. And he went out and he said, I look in the mirror and I see a mandate to privatize Social Security. And the Democrats said, thank you, George. Oh, that's so great. Because we spent the next 6 months talking about how afraid people were of losing their Social Security, and it sunk Bush. Now, the ongoing debacle in Iraq continued the sinking, but it was all kicked off running up against the wall of Social Security. And that's exactly the playbook that we could run again, and it would be very true and very full of proof, and we should be surgical and targeted. Speaking of things that are supposed to be surgical and targeted, I want to take a moment here. It's sort of a point of personal privilege, I do want you guys to weigh in on this. On the show, on Tuesday, I opened with a little bit of a screed, a little monologue, it was an introduction of my conversation with Howard Monroe, in which I gave a somewhat lengthier version of what I just said. And I said, look, Democrats, let's focus here. Let's not overreact to every last executive order like birthright citizenship that's going to be struck down by the courts and is going nowhere. Let's stay on target, please. And I did mention as part of that one place where there's something definitively bad happening right now that's worthy of our anger, that's worthy of our fight, is the freeze on foreign aid. And I want to expand on that for just a second. I just wrote this up as an article, and I think this is a massive moral failing. And I don't, in an odd way, blame Donald Trump for it, because he is a moron. He is someone who knows nothing about this, who doesn't care one bit about it. And he said he didn't care about it. He said he was going to do this. Okay, he followed through on every craven aspect of himself that we knew was there. I blame Senate Republicans who should know better, because this is having very real world consequences right now. 816,000 people relying on the one meal a day that they get in Sudan, relying on USAID, who are going hungry right now. Estimated that there are 40 newborns contracting HIV every single day in Uganda because the US stopped funding antiretroviral drugs. And the list goes on and on. And all of this for a white whale quixotic quest from a certain segment of the Republican Party, not all, but a certain segment of the Republican Party that has had it in for foreign aid and has stoked myths and lies about foreign aid, when it's one of the best things that America does. And they should be filled with shame. And the people in the Republican Party who hold elective office, who could stand up against this and who have not, should be melting of shame right now, and will probably spend a lifetime soul searching, hopefully, about why they stood by and did nothing during this disaster. That is all I have to say. And I hope, Alicia, that I have appropriately carved out the segment of Republicans who, like you, who I know do care and who are not part of the problem.
Right. And I largely agree with you on, particularly on the fundings that you mentioned. And there's others that are very good and we need to continue. This is where DOGE made a huge mistake, because it's pit every one extreme against the other. If they had done what we thought they were going to do, go in and with precision, look at what some of these line items are for foreign aid. Let's just stick to foreign aid. First of all, it's still not the administration's job to take that away. Congress authorized it. And then go to Congress and go to the people and say, is this a priority? Because guess what? I don't think DEI practices in Serbia should be something that Americans should pay for. I agree. I do not think $2 million to Guatemala for transgender and LGBT activism should be an American priority. I agree with you. But by doing what they did, they threw the baby out with the bathwater. And now everyone's
literally
angry. Literally. And so now you've got right going, screw it. I don't care about the babies dying of HIV. It's not my problem, right? And you've got the extreme liberals going, why can't we send money for DEI to Serbia? Neither of those arguments actually make sense. What makes sense is, let's look line by line. Should we be funding these programs? This saves children's lives. Yes. People are dying from drought in this area. Do we help them? Yes, we should. And things like that. And do we need to be helping workforce training in Serbia? No, not really our job. And that wasn't what was done. And that's what we thought was going to be done.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. I actually went to the bullet list that was created by staffers on the House Foreign Relations Committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee under Chairman Brian Mast, and the staff, former staffers like me, except Republicans, went through and they created a list that they promptly sent to Fox News, or maybe it was the other way around, I don't know, of questionable items that they would like to question funded through USAID. And I did a little math exercise. And indeed, all the things they found do amount to 0.1% of the USAID budget. And
but I don't care.
I'm going somewhere with this where I think we're on the same page. If what the Trump administration did was they said, guys, come the heck on. Come on. We're not doing this. We are going to freeze these things. We're going to put them up for review. And they had said, hey, Democrats, come on here. Like, you could fight us on this. If they had just done that and I were still a staffer in Congress, I would have gone to Paul and I would have said, Paul, don't fight this. This is not the battle we want. We want to preserve the 99.9% that's saving babies in Uganda, that's saving starving people in Sudan. We don't need to fight for the $16,500 to foster a, quote, united and equal queer feminist discourse in Albanian society through the State Department. And now look, are they cherry picking the list? Sure. Are these things maybe misconstrued? Yeah, probably. There's probably things on this list that aren't as bad as they made them seem. I agree with you. But that would have been a reasonable place to start. But now, essentially, what the administration has done and what Senate Republicans are enabling by not standing up to this is murdering thousands and thousands of people around the world. And to do this as part of this quest to fight wokeness in general is insane and sadistic and absolutely awful. And there's no excuse.
Foreign aid is less than 1% of the total federal budget. And in a larger sense, what it buys us around the world, given all the excesses that are likely in there, as there may be throughout the federal government with certain programs that you could argue about whether it's good policy or not. But what it buys us in the world, in addition to just doing the right thing for lots of people, feeding people, helping people get and stay healthy, what it does is it's probably among the most effective soft diplomacy that we can exercise in a world where our competitors, the Russias, the Chinas, others who would gain economic influence, it creates an America that is a benevolent, kind, compassionate, generous country, willing to help, even with the excessive programs. So in a larger sense, this is just one of the stupidest things of all the stupid things that are being done. And it clearly goes beyond stupid. It stands right up there with the kind of cruelty that we have come to expect from Donald Trump. Frankly, the old saw about foreign aid and cutting it and why are we doing it is really, I'm afraid to say, Alicia, the traditional Republican saw.
Disagree.
Disagree. No, you can disagree, but it's true. They bring it up it's been brought up. It gets brought up all the time.
Okay, but I'm kind of sneakily agreeing with you. You'll like this at the end. It's true for the last 20 years or so. But before that, it really wasn't. Remember, it was George W. Bush who created PEPFAR, right? It was George W. Bush created PEPFAR that saved 17 million lives, mostly in Africa. And he's done terrible things, George W. Bush, but for that, he deserves a Nobel Prize. It was Ronald Reagan who said that he wanted to double what we spend today on foreign aid. Here's the quote. The excuses, we can't afford foreign aid anymore, or we're wasting money pouring it into these poor countries, or we can't buy friends. All those excuses are just that, excuses, and they're dead wrong. And it didn't always used to be this way. Didn't always. Okay, it wasn't this way in the time in Alicia's formative years. I'll put it that way. I think we should.
Can I interject with something we hadn't planned on talking about?
Please.
Because I think it's hilarious. I just got an email from the Trump-Vance 2025 campaign. While we were talking, I got this email. And it is a fundraising email to fund DOGE. I don't know how that works. I thought that was funny.
Isn't Musk the richest man in the world? It's a good thing they need your $5. Now listen, Alicia, I'm not
I just thought it was a funny email.
Okay, I'm not going to defend most of what Paul said about people being deplorably stupid. But doesn't it kind of feel like they're treating their own base like saps when they say
they always have.
We need your $5. I mean, aren't they basically saying We think you're so stupid that you're going to fall for this one.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Here's what you're
Yes.
missing. You're missing grifto in chief. So he establishes a meme Bitcoin, which at the time of the inauguration, the Trump Bitcoin is worth like $75 or 75,000. I don't know what. As of today, that 75 is turned into 18. So all his followers who bought it at 75 at the time of the inauguration have been pasted and wasted and lost a lot of their money. Meanwhile, Donald Trump also controls all the brokerage on this Bitcoin. So whether it goes up or down, he makes money on every transaction for his Bit meme coin. So that means he's got hundreds of millions of dollars coming in, whether the price goes up or the price goes down. And all because he's president of the United States. Now, that isn't a conflict of interest, of course, because there are no such thing anymore as conflicts of interest when it comes to Musk or Trump or any of those people.
I think this is a perfect place to wrap things up because it really does tie everything together, right? What's the take home from our discussion today? Trump and his Musk minion are overreaching. They're doing all kinds of things that the American people never signed up for. They signed up for a very simple order. They said, I want bacon and eggs. And they came back with, here is spaghetti with anchovy licorice sauce. And you're getting all this stuff. Yeah, okay. That gets an ew, but Paul licking your ears doesn't. And all of this stuff is beginning to bend the perception of the American public. And it goes to my argument that there are some truly awful things happening. I agree with that. I'm not dismissing that. Foreign aid, first and foremost. But if Democrats can be smart, fight the meaningful things, fight the things where we can win and are going to win with the American public, and let things take their course, let Trump overreach, he will fall of his own weight because that's what he does, because ultimately it's all a grift. It's all a scam, and it's all going to come back and bite him in his oversized orange mogginess. And on that note, for Paul and Alicia, I'm Matt. We will see you next time.